Welcome back to Stephen K. De Silva Ministries. I appreciate all you guys that are joining and following these videos. And if you appreciate them, I'd love to hear back from you. I'd just like to hear what's going on and how it's changing your mindset. Please either make a comment on the video or send me back an email or a messenger using Facebook. But it'd be great to hear back from you guys if you appreciate these videos. What we did last video is we began to talk about altitude and this idea of how important it is to gain altitude in our finances so that we can get somewhere and not just spend our time as posers running around in the airport. If we imagine your prosperous home as an airplane and you are the pilot, the goal of having an airplane is to get somewhere. We also talked last time about the difference between airplanes and submarines. And the question was posed, are you an airplane or a submarine? If you are a submarine, that means that your debts are greater than your assets. So we began to talk about a really simple formula. We started out with the idea of plus minus equals. And we related that idea to what you own minus what you owe equals your altitude, right? Altitude represents the distance from the ground or from zero that you have gained in your finances. And we began to build this idea, really trying to walk people into the idea of how simple a financial education really is. It comes down to the things that you own are called assets, and these are just everything that you have in your life that you own, that you would collect. Now, we'll talk more about how to build a more accurate balance sheet in a future video. Right now, we're just keeping it really simple. We're just imagining how this works. I'm really teaching a tool, and really behind my lessons is the goal of making you build the exercise or build the muscle of thinking on the balance sheet, which is this, rather than the income statement, meaning your spending. Okay, so this is a unique skill that's held by the wealthy. They think on the balance sheet. They don't think on the income statement. In other words, they're not worried about how much they earn or what they spend. They're worried about building altitude or net worth. So this today is really an introduction to this idea, the mechanics of balance sheet altitude. It really comes down to building it $1 at a time. You can literally build your way out of a decline if you're in a crash pattern. In other words, if your debts are mounting and your assets are not, you will accumulate more and more negative altitude. Eventually, you'll go through the ground and become a submarine, right? If a person is in that situation, that isn't a crisis to despair of. It's a situation that needs to be grasped and handled. This is the thing I teased about last video, that a good pilot has their eyes open. And the same goes for your prosperous home. Don't be afraid to open your eyes and look at your situation. Look at your financial numbers. If that scares you badly, then go get help. Don't allow fear to be the thing that drives you. Allow your vision and hope and purpose in life be the thing that pulls you or leads you. We've talked about this in an earlier video. The difference between being led or being driven is the difference between a pig and a sheep. Sheep are led, pigs are driven. So let's work on this idea a little farther. How are we leading ourselves out of a decline and into increasing altitude? And it comes down to this idea of $1 at a time. Now we happen to be, I'm again stepping back, we happen to be working our way through a concept of bridging from where we are today to where we will be on January 1st of the new year. You remember I threw down a challenge early on, and I built it around a baseball diamond illustration. First, second, third base, and a home run. And I said that first base is to measure where you are on debt. What is all the debt you owe before the Thanksgiving holidays? We're working our way through the holidays into January, where most people wake up in January and it's the beginning of a new year, and they begin to realize, wow, I have so much debt. I can't believe that I've gotten into this situation because of why? Because of Thanksgiving spending, Christmas spending, and maybe some New Year's spending. And we get to the end of the year or the beginning of our next year, and we look across and we think, oh my word, what am I going to do? Well, this is the thing that we're talking about. We're developing that idea a little better. Let's go back to the balance sheet. Assets minus debt equals net worth. You should memorize this little formula because assets represent what you own, debt equals what you owe, and net worth equals your altitude, right? And our challenge is to measure where we are now and where will we be when the new year comes. Now, when I first posed it, I focused on debts. And I said, I want you to know how much debt do I owe at the beginning of this holiday season. And then compare that to where am I after all of the holidays have ended. And we focused on debt. Well, now we're taking a bigger perspective. We're actually measuring how has our net worth changed from before this season to after this season. You see, if you aim at this, if you have this in your mind, you can begin to manage your airplane. You can begin to manage your altitude. And if you don't aim at it, if you're not aware of it, there's no way for you to aim at anything. And you will end up at the end of this little period of time not really understanding why you got into this situation. So this situation really is shifting us from the idea of how do we spend this money to what is it doing to our altitude. So here's a simple example. This we introduced last time we talked, and let's just forget about these last two columns and deal with this idea that we have ourselves a balance sheet that says my assets minus my debts equal my altitude. Whatever your asset number is, minus whatever your debt number is a very important number. And I gave you guys an assignment, a challenge for your own figures. Figure out your own numbers. And I said, just estimate it. Just guess at where you think your assets are. We'll get smarter on that later. But find out what your numbers actually are. That's the first step in discovery. That's the first step in opening your eyes and recognizing where are you at. Now, what I want to show you is that this example, this person has zero altitude, right? This is simple math, and it always will be simple math. This person, as a period of time went by, let's say the difference between this first column and this second column are, let's say, a year. And during this year's worth of time, this person first decided to take $1 that they gained and put it into their savings account. Does that make sense? Our savings account is an asset. And this person decided, I'm a saver, and I'm going to save that $1. They put that $1 in savings, and when they did, their assets grew by $1. Do you see that? But you see that their debts did not change because the $1 can only go one place. You can either put it to assets or you can put it to debt. This first person decided, I'm going to put it to assets. He saved the money. When he did that, his net worth, altitude, grew by $1. Let's say this third column is a whole different person. This person hates their debt. This person has decided, I'm not going to save that extra money. I'm going to put it toward debt. So you see the result of that is this person's debt went from $1,000. Skip over this example. It went down by $1. Do you see that? So example A is a saver. Example B is a debt payer. right? A debt reducer. So the question is there any benefit for one over the other? Which is the better person to be, a saver or a debt reducer? And the answer is, we don't have enough information. The mechanics are the same. I want you to realize that if you put $1 onto your balance sheet, you have a choice to make. You can put it into assets and make them bigger, or you can put it into debts and make them smaller. Either way, mechanically, has the same benefit. I'll bet you've never thought about that before. I'll bet you've never thought about how net worth actually changes. And this is the point of today's video. Net worth changes the same mechanically, whether you accumulate assets or you reduce debt. Now, you can become smarter and more intelligent at which you do, but that falls far beyond the scope of these videos. That's really a pilot who is now learning to fly better and better at their altitude. Does that make sense? Put this information that's surrounding you. Things swirl around you all the time. You should be building your retirement plan. You should be saving an emergency fund. You should be putting money and paying off your debts. You should be debt-free. All of this information swirls around. I'm just now flying you above the swirl, if you will, and we are now looking down from 10,000 feet. We are looking down on the idea of the mechanics of net worth. Whether you put money into your assets or your debts has the same mechanical difference. And so you can decide, and probably you will go back and forth with this idea. In other words, you will not always be a debt payer offer, okay? You won't always be a person who is wanting to pay off debt, because eventually you will pay that debt off, and there will be nothing here. If this debt fell to zero and my assets were still 1,000, I would have 1,000 minus 0 equals altitude of 1,000. So then what do you do with the next dollar? You see, in that situation, when you have zero debt, you are forced to be an altitude builder who uses assets to do it. And that introduces you to many new situations, the kinds of classes of assets you invest in, which gives you a better return, opportunity costs, lots of these things that become very important as a altitude person with air underneath you become very relevant when your debt becomes zero. If you're a person with debt, it's a great idea to pay down your debt. But realize this, if you take every single dollar you get and pay off your debt to zero, for example, if this person said, I have $1,000 of cash, I am going to remove all my debt and take this cash and pay off all my debt, what has happened? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Before the decision, this person had $1,000 of cash. They also had debt, and their net worth was zero. Immediately after paying this off, using his cash, how much does he have in assets? Zero. What would he have in debts? Zero. What would he have in net worth? Zero. So before and after, this person has the same altitude. The only problem is he has introduced zero emergency fund. You see, he would have no bumper around him to absorb the next unexpected emergency. When that happens, when we use all of our cash to pay down all of our debt and leave ourselves without a bumper or an airbag, imagine a car with an airbag is designed to protect us when we hit an unexpected event. You don't want to use up all of your cash and leave yourself in a place of vulnerability. Because when you're in a place of vulnerability, you recreate the debt cycle. Does that make sense? If you have no cash to absorb any situation, you recreate the need to use your credit cards for the bank. You see, becoming the bank is a way of breaking the debt cycle. Becoming the bank, in its most basic level, is building an emergency fund. Whether that's $100 or $500 or $5,000. Whatever number you pick, an emergency fund is simply a bumper and a representative of you becoming the bank. Yeah, these are some ideas I just want you to percolate on. You see, we're working our way through this Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's season. And we don't want spending to be the function or the highest level of thinking we have. How you spend your money is not the thing that I'm building. I'm building how you think about altitude. Yeah, building yourself an altitude begins with these 4 steps. Step 1 is discovery. You see, you need to discover and look at your altitude, whether it's positive or negative, whether it scares you or excites you. Either way, you have to open your eyes, guys. And if it scares you and it gives you terror, go fix that. That's not normal and that's not required. Go fix that with the help of a financial sozo. Go online to my website and check it out. If you don't have any other source, you can find that at StephenKDasilva.com. All right? But level 1 or step 1 is discovery. Step 2, rule of holes. We'll talk about that another time. Step 3 is become the bank, and that's what we touched on today. The most basic step in creating yourself a bumper or airbag for the unexpected events is to build an emergency fund. And then step 4 is to go after your debt. All right? Well, I'm going to call this a day. I think I'm at my time limit. So I want to bless you guys with a prayer. Father, I really thank you for these that are listening and following. I pray that you are enriching their thinking and that you are empowering them to make powerful choices with their finances. God, I'm asking that you would make your people that follow as prosperous souls into men and women that are not servants of money, but they are masters of money to accomplish your assignment in their lives. In Jesus' name. God, I pray all of this according to your word and your Son. Amen. All right. God bless you guys, and God bless your prosperous souls. Cut. Great to have you guys today. Let's see who we have on here. Hey, Wayne. Thanks for coming, my friend. Lisa, thanks so much for coming. I appreciate you, girl, and your comments. I'll check those out. Hi, Yarenis. It's great to see you. Beth and Georgiev. This is good. I haven't seen your name before. It's great to have you, friend. Hello, Heidi. Very good. Very good. It's great to have you guys. Hello, Ty. Great to have you guys. I know you guys are faithfully watching, and I know many more watch by later on by watching the video. So God bless you guys, and I hope to see you next time. And God bless your prosperous souls. Bye-bye now.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Stephen K. DeSilva, and you're probably wondering, why have I never heard this information before? Well, now you can by going up into this corner and subscribing to this channel. Or you can go to this corner and watch the next video. There is tons of information I'm giving you. Go check it out and go deeper. Or better yet, go to the link below and go check out my website. I've got some free stuff on there. Go get that and go see lots of resources so you can finally master your money. Hey, I gotta go record another video. I'll see you soon. Bye.